Peace. It's something that's on a lot of people's minds. But I have a few things to say about it that we might want to take a look at because this could be helpful and not knowing about it could be bad. Because just like an ostrich that puts his head in the sand and thinks that no one can see him, well, we all know how that goes, right? And just like the person that doesn't really know anything about gravity, it doesn't keep them from benefiting by it. Benefiting from it. Their feet are still planted on the earth, right? Okay. Peace. In the English language, anyway, when we think about peace, there's almost like a flip opposite picture that comes in people's minds. When we think about peace, we normally think about nonviolence or lack of war. But at the same time, we're still thinking about violence and lack of war. Because, all right, now just let's get to the subject of manifestation, law of attraction type stuff. It's been taught for eons. It didn't used to be called law of attraction until very recently, but the premises has always been the same. And that is what you think about predominantly becomes manifest. Another thing that's taught through law of attraction is that the universe, if you will, or what we're lining up with, it works by where we're putting our attention. The word no is not understood. If we say, I don't want war, well, we're putting our attention on war. And what we put our attention on is what we're getting more of. If we have a fight against drugs, we're putting our attention on drugs. And drug use is what's going to become more prevalent than it's already been. So, by very nature, in thinking, however it is we think of it, when we say the word peace, whether it's just a series of images that flashes quick, that we get a picture of like war or violence, but we think of it in terms of not being that, we're still putting our attention toward that. Our attention is still feeding strength, building bigger the concept of war and violence. So that's the first thing that we need to look at is, what are we really meaning when we say peace, and is our understanding, is where we go in our minds and in our emotions actually serving toward creating a world of peace? Or is it actually serving creating more of what's already been going on that we want to see less and less and less of? Actually, we want to see none, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. We need to start there. Another thing we need to understand is that what we're experiencing in our lives is not so much outside of ourselves and therefore happening to us, but it's a reflection of what's inside of ourselves and happening as a result of that. I heard someone on a video talking about this and about whether if you're looking in a mirror and you don't like your hairstyle right then, like let's say my hair looks really bad, I don't go up to the mirror and think, oh, I need to fix it on the mirror. The mirror in this case is a representative of our outer experience, our life experience. No, we think, oh, okay, I don't like how my hair looked, I gotta fix my hair. There, now the reflection I see in the mirror is a little bit better, right? And what he was suggesting, and this made a really big impact with me, and it helped to broaden my understanding of how this all works. I've been studying this since 1994. I was really young then. And I've been doing a lot with it, yes, some times better than others. And the way that he explained that really helped to deepen my understanding. Right. If I don't like the picture I'm seeing in the mirror, I don't think I need to go change anything on the mirror. No, instead, I know I need to fix how I look. I need to fix how my hair is. I need to fix how my outfit is. Okay, so what he was explaining is that the same is basically true in how we're viewing our outer world and our experiences in our own lives. If we don't like what we're seeing, we need to take a look at what is going on in our head spaces, in our emotional spaces, because it's these things that are creating our reality. In terms of a world at peace, that we'd all like to see. We need to start turning our attention away. We need to think and look at less and less and less that which we do not like. And I invite you to consider that we spend a lot of time, not all of us, but many of us spend a lot of time watching really negative television programming, movie programming with all kinds of wars, all kinds of violence, all kinds of hatred, all kinds of anger, video games that are kind of the same. And we're feeding into the energy, the vibration of those things every time we're doing that. Our neurons mimic. If I'm watching a gymnast on TV doing gymnastics, how that person's neurons in their brain are firing and in what order as they're doing what they're doing, as I'm watching them, my neurons fire in the same way. As any of us are watching anyone doing anything, our neurons are firing in the same way. That's happening when we're watching these destructive things on the media, in whatever form it's in, or if we're reading negative things. We also need to understand that if we're being hateful ourselves toward people, if we're dropping anger and viciousness on people through social media or at school or in the workplace or what have you, that this is essentially the same vibration through which weapons are being dropped on countries. We're the only ones that differentiate size. We're the only ones that say this is small and this is big, or this is not the same. We need to learn to feel what the vibration feels like of those different things. Because being cruel and dropping hatefulness on people beneath their YouTube videos because we just don't agree with what they've said, or being cruel to the kid at school, or our coworker, or our wife, or our husband, or our sister, or our brother, or whatever, the vibration is the same. We need to work on being peaceful within ourselves, and I'm the only one that can work on being more peaceful within myself. I can share with you things I've learned and things I've experienced to help you, hopefully, to be able to see it in some kind of a way that you couldn't identify with before. And that maybe it inspires you to take it on for yourself and maybe gives you an idea of where to start and how to start doing it. I can do that. And you can do that too for other people. But I can't do it for you. I can't rework your interior any more than you can rework mine. I have to take reworking mine on for myself. And doing so, first and foremost, benefits my own life. The more I work within my interior spaces, the more I solicit and add to my spaces of gratitude and happiness, the better the things outside of myself become. More wonderful things come my way, more wonderful experiences become presented to me. When I spent my time filled with anger and frustration, hardly anything good, at least as I saw it, came to me. I mean, sure, I still had a lot of things that benefited me in my life, but I wasn't able to look at them that way. I was so filled with frustration and anger about that frustration that I wasn't able to look at anything I did have with any kind of gratitude. Because every time I saw any of it, all I could think of was what else I wanted instead. That doesn't work. That does not bring anything a person wants to have in their life to them. When you're feeling frustration predominantly or anger predominantly, you're just going to get more experiences that make you feel more of those things. We each have to find a way to cultivate happiness, and the easiest way is to start by finding a way to feel gratitude. Because when you really stop and look at what you do have already that supports you, it's easier anyway to feel gratitude for those things. Like, oh wow, you know, my room and my roof over my head and my bed at night really does serve me well, doesn't it? I mean, it'd be kind of miserable to not have them, wouldn't it? And the car that I have, even though I might wish for a better one, it still gets me to where I need to go, or the bike that I have, or the legs I have. I mean, isn't it better to have the ones I do than none at all? And when we can start to look at things like this, simply, but like this, and to realize, yeah, you know, like that really does serve me. Doesn't that feel better? Going there, doesn't that feel better? Then damn it, I want that thing and I just don't have it. My life is miserable. And then we feel that, and it's all in response to this, and that's what we need to start to understand. Our emotions are born, are created, are in existence in response to whatever's going on up here. And most of what's going on up here for most people is not under their control. They're thinking by default, they're feeling by default, they're creating their own reality by default. Most of us are creating the world experience that we're having by default. And by allowing our attention to be focused on a lot of negativity through the types of media that we're choosing to partake in. But that is a choice, and with understanding, we might see the importance of why it's maybe good to not make that choice. Every effort that we put into, no matter how small it is, but every bit that we put into to turning our attention to things that make us feel grateful, things that make us feel even a little happier, a little calmer, anything that makes our emotional state go from somewhere in the murky range, because there's a variety in the murky range and there's a variety in the upper range, the better we can make ourselves feel through how we focus our mind and how we view things. And that is within our control. But we're used to doing things by default. We're used to just being on autopilot, and our minds are doing things most of the time we're not aware of. But a study that I recently came across revealed that 90% of most people's thoughts are in negativity. And this is where 90% of people are creating from. And then they're going to the TV for a distraction because they feel so miserable, and most of what's there is rotten. Most of what's there is negative. It's some drama about all this stuff that's wrong, or it's comedy but at someone else's expense. You know, you bash someone over the head and laugh about it because that's so funny. But if we got bashed in the head in real life, we wouldn't think that was so funny. And we've got to look at this. And that's up to each of us. Really look into this instead of just laughing because everyone else is laughing, and so we don't even think about why we're laughing. We're just laughing. It's really not funny. Some comedies are funny, but a lot of them, especially these days, really aren't. They're at someone else's expense. And expensive things that we wouldn't want to live. And yet there we are watching it. And as we're watching it, our attention, our minds are copying the imagery that we're seeing, and our emotions are having a response. And we need to start to understand that we could be creating parts of our reality by what we're allowing ourselves to be guided into thinking and feeling by what we're watching on TV and in movies. We'd better start choosing more wisely, because it's being chosen for us largely. And a lot of it is just default thinking, because pathways are created in the brain based on the repetition of the kind of thoughts we have. And of course, most of our parents and our grandparents and everyone has been thinking like this by default. And so of course we grew up thinking that way too. And whatever their points of view were, oh, this group of people hates our group of people, or these group of people are mean to women, or men, they have it better and it sucks for women, or vice versa, women have it better and I'm the underdog. And whatever we believe and we keep saying to ourselves is creating situations that are going to make us feel more of that. It's going to keep giving us evidence of that belief that we have, making it seem all the more true. But what we need to understand is that a lot of this that's been going on its own, on automatic pilot, was first passed down to us from our family and their belief structures, what they believed in and what their minds were rampantly doing, and then from peers and teachers and, media. We need to take control. We're the only ones that can. I can only take control of my mind. You can only take control of your mind. No one can do it to you, but no one can do it for you. But in a way, we are being manipulated, whether it's by purpose or by accident. Our minds are being focused for us largely by what we're listening to other people say, their negativity. We just go with it without even thought. Someone says, oh, whatever, blah, 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 and everyone else is like, oh yeah, without thinking. Or someone says, this thing's bad. Oh yeah, that thing's bad. Is it? Or are we even thinking some of the time? There was a video clip I saw about bees. Okay, now this might seem non-related, and in a way it is. But what this illustrates in a way what I'm talking about. they had some European footage of some European people in a European country, and a hive split, like beehive split. That's how they grow, is they get too many bees in there, and then they make a new queen, and then the old queen leaves with half the hive, and then the new queen stays with the other half the hive in the old hive. And so when they leave, they start looking for a new place to live. So they all go as a group, and they're looking for a new place to live. And as these bees are swarming around, the people in Europe were just kind of standing there like, oh wow, like, oh, look at those bees. Oh wow, look at that. And a couple of them got stung. You could see it because they were like, oh, like that. But they didn't seem too bothered. They're like, oh, like, oh, I got stung. Then they had some American footage. And this was how the American people reacted. The bees were swarming, okay? Same thing happened. A hive split and bees were swarming. Oh, bees. Oh, it stung me. Oh, and everyone was acting like that. It's like we learn to take on the responses and the actions from the people around us, and we don't realize it. We need to start realizing it. Bees are not scary, but to a lot of Americans they are. To the Europeans, not so much. Oh wow, look at the bees. Oh yeah, one stung me. Oh wow, look at the bees. Isn't that cool? Like, oh yeah. Bees are awesome, dude. You like your food? You better like bees. They disappear, you're gonna be eating bread and oatmeal, and that's about it. Because nothing else is gonna grow. All right, so, yeah. Conditioning. A lot of times we think that our responses are ours, our individual responses, my opinion, and most of the time, they're not. We've been conditioned. We've been trained by our observations and our impressions, and a lot of this stuff is passed down subconsciously. It doesn't even have to be spoken. And the only way to break it is to be willing to start looking at it. And you have to start looking at it in yourself. Because I can't do it to you, but I can't do it for you. The good news is I can't do it to you. The bad news you might think might be I can't do it for you, because it does take a little bit of effort. And when I first started learning about this stuff, I did not want to put in that effort. I wanted it to just magically work out because I knew about it. Yeah, it didn't work out that way. And when like 6 years went by and not much of my life changed, but I knew the concepts, that was when I decided that a little bit of effort was worth it, because I was sick of living my life the way that it was. But now we've got potentially bigger issues at hand than just our individual lives, although our individual happiness is, of course, first and foremost important to any one of us, because that's what we experience. We experience our own experience. I don't experience your experience. I can be compassionate. I could imagine what you might be going through if I hear your story. And at least I bother to try and imagine what you might be going through, because I don't think a lot of people really do. And we wonder why there's so much viciousness. People have become largely so turned off to their feelings and to each other and to what's going on, and they've been numbed by all these video games of war and violence and destruction and the same things on TV and movies and comic books and all of this stuff. And as they're watching, their neurons are going off in the same order as if they were really doing it. What is this creating, people? Because there's brain scientists that have been conducting studies. When we think or we speak, molecules move. We are creators, and yet we've been raised by generations of people who have felt helpless upon generations of people who have felt helpless to believe that we are hopeless. We want to feel like we're powerful. We want to feel like we can do something. But yet when it comes to the most important things like peace in this world, we're waiting for anyone else to do it for us. And if you don't believe that that's true, take a look. The only way that this can really work is if enough of us stop being victims, enough of us wake up enough to the fact that we are creating it all around us. We have to start seeing this. And if you don't see it yet for yourself, I invite you to test it out. Test it out on small things in your own life and see for yourself. Look at the things, even look at some of your recent experiences, some where you were having good, happy thoughts and things that then came that made you have more good, happy thoughts, and things where you felt like crap for a while, and then what happened after that. Look at the past so that you can get a hold of it right now and not waste any more time than is necessary. because some stuff is going on out there, and how much worse do we really want it to get? None of us want it to get worse. That's just a thing. But we have to stop acting like we're not contributing to what's going on. The bad news is that we've been contributing unknowingly. The good news is that we can do something about it. Yay, we don't have to wait for someone to come do it. But the bad news is oh crap, I guess I better get off my rear end and friggin' do it. And where does it start? In here. It all starts in here and in our emotions. Okay? So find a way to get more happy. Find a way to get more peaceful. Take a look at what you're doing to other people. Take a look at the emotions that you're feeling. Just observe them. Don't beat yourself up for them. If you realize, oh man, I just thought this terrible thought about that person. I just wanted to bash them over the head because I felt so angry. Okay, it was just a thought. Just observe it. Okay, I had that thought. Wow, okay, look at that. Just let it go. Wow, look at this chair that I have to sit on. Isn't it great? Oh, look at this phone. Isn't it wonderful? I can talk to my friends and the people I like. Isn't it great? Oh, I'm going to go eat dinner soon. Isn't it wonderful I have food? Great, right? See, you have a choice, but you just have to be aware to make the choice. Okay? And then gradually, you'll recognize more and more and more. And the more you look at it and the more you pay attention, the faster it'll happen. The faster you'll realize and the faster you'll elicit changes for the better for yourself. And you'll be inspiring other people. You'll be impacting them because your vibration of what you are radiates out and it affects those in its path. Isn't it better to affect things because you've purposefully created yourself to be in better spaces than it is to affect things by default because you're running around unknowingly in negativity 90% of the time like most everyone else and impacting everything else that's in the wake or the path of the vibration that's emanating out from you. We get to choose. Whether we choose to do anything about it or not is up to any given one of us. But we are creating what's going on in our lives and in the world, whether we realize it or not. It's time to get on the bandwagon. It's time to start declaring what we are. I am peace. I am someone who makes a positive difference for others. Who are you? I'm not perfect. I don't know it all and I don't know everything. I'm never going to be a rocket scientist. That's not my calling in life. But there are a lot of really great things I can do. I didn't used to feel that way about myself. I was raised in a family where we all thought we were pieces of crap. Our own selves were crap. I didn't feel good about myself at all. I wouldn't have been able to stand here telling you that I was good at anything. I had to realize through some work, through people telling me stuff like I'm telling you, so that I could start to look at it and start to recognize the types of thought patterns that were just passed down to me that I thought were me. I thought those things in my head were me. They're not, and they're not you. And now that you know, you have the choice to do something about it. So do. Who are you? Declare who you are right now. I am what? I am helpful. I am peace. I am positive. I am loving. I am beautiful. I do beautiful things. I contribute to others in beautiful ways. I contribute to this world in ways that are helpful and peaceful and uplifting and beneficial. It feels a whole lot better than to say, damn, I'm just not good at anything. I'm good at some things. And I'm committed to inspiring others. I am peace. Who are you?